Hi friends, I am Fr.Baskaran from Thorp. I am happy to welcome you for the reopen of our St. Bernard, St. Hedwig Parish Church for weekend masses. As you know well, we have some guidelines and directives to be followed to come for the mass. For example, all we need you to be with these masks. But since my sound has to come to you, I'm removing now. And our parish has now Pat Conley as a compliance manager, and he will take over now what the directives that you have to follow. And welcome back once again to the church for weekend masses. Thank you. Now over to Pat Conley.
Hi friends, my name is Pat Conley. I'm the compliance manager for our parish here at St. Bernard, St. Hedwig. I'm a little new to the parish, only for about the last 2 years or so, but it's a pleasure to be here and it's a pleasure to serve the parish in this way. In this brief video, we're just going to go over a few of the guidelines so everybody's familiar with all the guidelines as we come back to worship Mass together. It's an exciting time. So if you follow me, we'll go down to the parking lot here and we'll start there. As we are getting ready for Mass, it's a beautiful day today as we're filming, but when Saturday and Sunday come, we'll see. So we're going to be reopening this Saturday and Sunday, which is June 27th and 28th, and that's 27th on Saturday. The 27th, we're going to have Mass at 4 p.m. and on the 28th, Sunday, we're going to have Mass at 10 a.m. Now, we are limited to the number of people who can attend, but in general, we're hopeful that as many people who want to attend will. Remember, there's no obligation to attend on weekend masses anymore until the bishop tells us differently. So you're not obliged to attend Mass, but we would like to welcome you all to attend Mass. Seating and attendance is going to be done on a first come, first served basis. So if you get here later on and we just say, I'm sorry, we've reached our capacity, I want to thank you in advance for your understanding that way. Well, in the parking lot, of course, we see that there's plenty of room out there, so feel free to give yourself plenty of room when you're parking, all right? So if even start social distancing there, even in the parking lot by using up the whole parking lot. So those of you who are young and spry and can walk a little bit further, maybe choose a spot near the side of the lot there, okay? And then as you're coming in, we're only going to be using the main entrances to the church. So that's this one, the accessible door, and then the main entrance over there where Father is. So those two are going to be used. This door right here is going to have its handicapped automation, so that's always available. If it's a nice day on Saturday evening and Sunday morning, then we'll have those doors propped open for you so you don't even have to touch the doorknob. That's the plan. If it's not such a nice day on Saturday or Sunday, then we'll have one of our greeters holding the door open for you. So you shouldn't need to touch the door handles. Just another way of being safe during this time. All right, let's go in. Now don't congregate too much right here. Remember to maintain social distancing as we're going in, 6 feet apart between households. If you're all in the same household, of course, you've been spending a lot of time together anyway, so households are welcome to stay together, but don't stop and socialize with somebody else here as you're making your way in, all right? Stay 6 feet apart from other households. I also want to mention that as you're coming in for Mass, it is very likely that we'll have somebody here taking names. This is not because we're not checking up on you, we're not taking attendance, but rather the diocese has asked us to keep a record of people who are attending during these reopening times. And now we're in the entryway to the church, and we'll have this hand sanitizer, brand new here for us, that's going to dispense hand sanitizer without any touching at all. So come on in and use that as you're coming into Mass. Another way of staying safe and looking out for the well-being of others, right? Come on up the stairs. If you need to use the lift, of course, you certainly may use the lift in coming in. There's always that possibility, so go ahead and use that if you need to. That'll be fully functional. Note that we do have this sign reminding everybody of some of the things that we're going to be observing as guidelines as we get started again for Mass. Please note too, though, although it says collection boxes will be located at the exit of the church, please note that we will be actually taking up the regular collection. We're allowed to do that since we have the baskets on the long poles. They just wanted to make sure that we weren't passing the basket or anything like that. So we will be taking up the collection at the usual point. Here on the table, of course, too, we have more hand sanitizer if we need it. We also have masks. So we do, as Father has already said, masks are strongly encouraged for everyone who's attending Mass. So please do bring your own from home if you can. Save us a little bit of money that way. But otherwise, you can pick up a mask here and then you can use it throughout the Mass as well. All right? So then as you've done your hand sanitizer, if you've gotten your mask on, you can come right on in. Note that we've got marks on the floor, starting from here and going all the way up. This is to maintain that 6 feet of social distancing between households as we're going in. So if somebody stops in front of you, just consider it a pause in the Lord, right? And so you can just stop and pray for a little bit until they move on ahead. We will have ushers here. The ushers are not going to be seating people directly, but you'll make your way in and they're just here to answer any questions you may have and make sure that we're following the guidelines as we gather together for Mass. All right, so we come on in. Remember that the holy water founts will be empty, so there's no need to touch that. There'll be no hymnals or missalettes or anything like that in the pews either, so you won't be handed anything on your way in. But also note that each one of the pews, there have been some that have been roped off, okay? Obviously, that's where we don't want people sitting. But on either side, on alternating pews, all the way up, we can fill in where we can and wherever we like. Now, the pews in the center here are wide enough that if you're coming in with just one person or maybe a couple, then we can fit 3 all the way across, okay? But just make sure that you're a good 6 feet away from the person next to you. If you're coming in with a family, with a household together, then sit all together. Again, you're allowed to sit all together that way, but there might need to be a reduction in the number of people that fit in the remainder of the pew. And that's all the way up. On the sides, since the pews are much shorter on the sides, we're asking only one family or one household or one couple to sit in the pews on the sides, please. Mass will go on as normal, and of course it'll be a great blessing to be able to be back together for Mass, and it'll be great to be able to celebrate in person for those of you who are able to attend. So enter in, as you usually do, prayerfully and faithfully into the celebration of the Mass. You will know that as we get close to the end of Mass, you may be asking, wait a minute, I haven't received communion, how can Mass be over? Well, we're going to receive communion after the final blessing, so after Mass has ended. So this is the way it's going to work, is that after the final blessing, Fr.Baskaran is going to be coming down to the front in his normal place to distribute communion. But we are going to start dismissing rows. The ushers will dismiss the rows for communion, starting in the back, okay? So the usher will be right here, and if you happen to be seated in this pew right here, the usher will come and say that if you'd like to go forward for communion, now is the time. If you prefer not to receive communion, again, you are not obliged to receive communion even if you do attend Mass, then all you need to do is turn around and exit through the main doors. Again, we're going to close off the side doors completely, both for entering and for exiting. Okay, and so then there are marks on the floors to keep that 6 feet apart again. Just make sure that you and the next household are 6 feet apart. When you go up to receive communion, please, we're not receiving on the tongue. We are receiving only in the hand. So please come and receive reverently in the hand. And after you've received communion, you can either come back, and if you'd like to come back to your pew and kneel down and say a prayer of thanksgiving, wonderful. But if you'd prefer just to go on and exit the church at that point, you're also welcome to do that. Again, we're hoping that people are not going to be congregating afterwards either, because we want to maintain social distancing for your entire time here for St. Bernard and St. Hedwig's reopening Mass. So again, friends, welcome back to Mass. That's this Saturday, June the 27th at 4 p.m. and this Sunday, June the 28th at 10 a.m. We welcome you back to Mass. Please observe all the guidelines, but most importantly, enter into the wonder of the Mass and worship Christ.